Welcome to the Big Screen Bulls podcast, a podcast where Caleb Kindle and Christian McCrite give their reviews and reactions to what's happening on the big screen. They talk about films, TV series, and other forms of media entertainment. Episodes are released every Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform. Be sure to follow the show's Instagram page at Big Screen Bowls Podcast, where new hints and updates will be released about future episodes.
Welcome to the Big Screen Bowls Podcast, where you have me, Caleb Kindle, and the Viltermite himself, Christian McCrite.
If I was a Viltrumite, I would most likely
not be doing this podcast right now. I'd say.
Oh, I was like, how can I say this? Like I would be doing. I would have money. Basically, is what I was trying to say. I was like, how do I say this in a way that's like, I would have money right now. I would be a rich superhero, is what I would be. My fiance thinks I'm some sort of superhero. Obviously, we're just teasing, but she thinks I'm some sort of superhero. That's as good as it's gonna get from me. Anyways, so just like a lot of the topics we to talk about on the podcast, we are talking about more superhero stuff, but different than usual. So
exactly.
Kindle, tell them what we're talking about.
Good transition from all that awkwardness. We have a review and an outlook on the TV series Invincible.
Yes.
Invincible, and what it is for people who do not know, because it is a little bit of a newer concept. It is an Amazon Prime series show that goes over the life of a boy who learns he has powers. His father is acclaimed biggest superhero on the planet, and just the struggles of his life through kind of like the forces that he's facing against when his dad's not there, and his dad helps out on occasions, and then has a really wicked twist at the end of it. So
it flips the superhero script on its head. It definitely like takes like a Superman type of approach,
exactly,
but just in not in a wholesome way. So Invincible,
and this is it rated R?
It's a TV show. So it's like TVMA, isn't it?
TVMA, yeah. And the biggest reason, to let you know, folks, of why it is just because of the gore aspect of it.
Yeah,
a lot of superhero TV shows, movies don't want to show a lot of gore. This one is a really big flip.
It gets
because
bloody.
It shows a lot of that aspect. That but at the same time, that's pretty realistic. Like if somebody gets thrown through a building, they're not going to be in a very good shape.
There are some cuss words in the show, but they're placed in very awkward moments. I was literally thinking about that when I knew we were going to be talking about this today. I was like, I have some gripes with the show. I'll get into that later because I'll let you talk about kind of what you like about it. But just one thing I was pointing out in my head was that like it's a more mature show, a more mature superhero show, kind of like The Boys. But The Boys has a lot more cussing. The Boys cusses all the time. Well, The Boys has a lot of gore too.
Less just gore and cussing. There's a lot of sexual aspect with it as well too.
Yeah, sure. And so it's not as like, I don't want to say offensive. It's not offensive to me. It's not as mature as The Boys, but it's got a lot of gore for like an animated project, and it has some cuss words that are placed in really strange places. But anyways, what do you think about this show, like as a whole, Kindle?
Again, I think I know you're going to talk about the gripes you have with it. I would say this is almost a flawless show.
Whoa, really?
This is like I'd say rating it out of 10 or whatever else of the bowls of popcorn type deal. This would be hitting the 9s.
Dang, so like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish level, man. That's good for me. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, again, like we have a real type story here. I think that I feel like it's being told. You have, and again, spoiler alert. I feel like we don't even need to say that anymore because almost everything we do is a spoiler alert type deal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like this is about like it's Superman. Superman has a son, but Superman has a completely weird and messed up agenda on the end of it. Like that is one of the coolest concepts I think I've ever seen in a superhero type aspect.
I just made this connection right now. Like right now on the spot. Not even kidding. It's Superman meets Dragon Ball Z. Because the Saiyans, their goal is to go to planets, and they send people to planets to like grow up and then take it over. Whoa. That's cool. I just had that connection. Anyways.
But either way, yeah, you have that. You have extremely interesting powers of the people that are involved within it. Again, you have some things that are basic. Like you have their version of the Justice League they have there. They have like their own version of Batman. They have their own version of
Darkwing.
Wonder Woman.
Darkwing Duck, except for he's not a duck this time, but it's just Darkwing.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You have like your Wonder Woman knockoff. You have Elastaman. Some type of Aquaman type as creature that's out there as well too.
Yeah, like Aquarius or something like that.
Yeah, but you have all these groups that are in it,
and Immortal,
and Immortal as well too. Which I don't know what to really compare him with. A lot of them can randomly fly for whatever reason as well too.
Yeah, I don't understand.
You have a Flash type aspect person as well too, but
yeah, Red Rush, I think is his name.
Red Rush, yeah,
and together they are the Guardians of the Globe.
The Guardians of the Globe. Okay, yeah. The Guardians of the Globe for about 1 or 2 episodes until they're
wiped out,
eliminated. And if you've probably seen like the reel out there as well too. If you haven't seen the series of just like them getting brutalized, it's like you don't really know what kind of show this is going to be. Like it's a superhero show. It's going to be nice, fun, and creative. And then just like a bloodbath happens, and you're just sitting there shocked. And it's like, hey, that's pretty neat. That's pretty interesting.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Nobody's ever done that before. You have that. You have very interesting voice characters as well too that come on with it. With Seth Rogen, Mark Hamill come to it. You have Jay Jameson.
Yeah,
J. Jameson Jones.
J.K. Simmons. Yeah,
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, he's awesome.
The guy who plays Jay Jameson from Spider-Man.
Stephen Yeun,
yeah,
who's from The Walking Dead.
Yep. He plays
Glenn,
the main character. But yeah, enough of that. But just basic concept. Main character finds his powers at about 16. His dad's trying to show him how to be a superhero and how to control his powers. They go into very big detail on like how the powers actually work and how they function.
Yeah,
which is completely crazy to me because usually it's like, oh, you got to figure that out yourself, and all these other type.
You got to read these 30 comics to understand.
Yeah.
It's like no, like they tell you and it's helpful.
Yep, exactly. Like the idea that like you're not like when he can fly as one of his powers of Invincible. And it's like you're not endowed by gravity. Like your powers are so well unique that you just like any 3-dimensional object can be your spring point that you bounce off of.
Yeah, it's so interesting how he words it. And it's not a Superman copy.
No, exactly.
It's really not. Because one, he doesn't have heat vision. No. Omni-Man does not have heat vision.
Doesn't have heat vision. And
he's not powered by the sun either.
That, and they don't care about who knows who they are.
Yeah.
Like in reality, it's like everybody knows who they are. For the most part of it. Of course, they have their own personas that they are able to get down into, and they're able to live normal lives for the most part. Like the superheroes have their own thing they go into, and their job is they go in
jobs like normal people.
Yeah, they don't have like jobs like normal people. It's like, oh, the government understands that you're a protector of the world, so you're going to get a stipend, and it's going to be a lot of money because how much we had to pay for tanks.
Yeah.
Missiles and nuclear weapons. And basically, you fit the script of all those things.
You are all those things combined, and you live in the United States. So there we go. You get some money for that.
The IRS calculating how much superheroes would save the world in taxes. Yep, looks like we're spending $4 billion less in budgets for
there we go.
For self-defense this year.
There we go.
You have all that. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but it's just a really neat concept. I feel like you have to watch to really get into it too much.
Okay. Is there anything at all about the show that you don't like? Anything?
I would say that there's a kind of arc that separates from the main arc of kind of the robot guy who's the leader of the teen team or / becomes the new kind of globe watchers.
Cecil?
Yep. Cecil.
The guy who becomes... So, for those of you who don't watch the show, the main character named Mark, who is the son of Omni-Man, the Superman-esque type hero. They are known as Viltrumites, and
from a planet called Viltrum.
Yeah,
at the end of the day. And
Mark encounters these other people kind of around his age who, like, there are multiple like groups of heroes apparently around the world, but this one has certain quirky characters. One of them is voiced by whoever does the voice of Jay Bilzerian on Big Mouth, which is funny. But one of these characters is like a robot. And so it's actually like a person who's in like a little tank, like a little like deformed infant mass thing that's like super genius. And like I don't want to say the B plot, the C plot of the show is Cecil hires these bad guys who know how to make clones to get them a body or like a sample of DNA, gets them to him so that they can make a clone body for him to get into the new body so that he can effectively be, well, one, a person, or two, have a relationship with a girl, which they don't even really get into a relationship. They just become really close friends. But so that's your number, like your only like real dislike about the show. Like,
that's the only thing that really comes to my head at the moment. But I just think so much of it's done so flawlessly. I think if you mention something, I will possibly agree with you, but I don't know if there's a whole lot that just comes to my mind. I don't know if there's a whole lot of like the show to discuss as well too. Like whole idea of it. Guy gets his powers. The superheroes that are on the planet at the time get decimated. They get slaughtered. So they have to try to find new superheroes to take their place. They have this big type auction tryout deal of
tournament type of deal.
Who could be the next big superheroes?
I wish I would have seen more of that.
Yeah, but again, there was just a show that nobody ever thought it was going to be this good.
That's true. But that's a personal bias because I'm an anime fan. So just like tournament arcs is like crack cocaine to me.
Yeah.
So, Mom, I promise I don't do drugs. I only watch anime. That's my substitution. And I drink Dr. Pepper. So
it kind of does have that feel of anime as well too. So.
A little bit, yeah.
And if you do like anime, also go listen to our last podcast about anime.
Yes, sliding in that advertisement for ourselves.
Plug has been connected.
There's a whole like timeline, mainstream continuity with this podcast series where we always reference the thing that we do last.
Yeah. But you hit me with it. I've talked a lot. I've talked for a big piece of this of just rambling almost because I can't think of a lot I dislike with it and could tell a lot that I like. So.
All right. That was really loud. My turn.
Give it to me straight, Skipper.
This show is good. There are some things I don't like about it. First of all, I'll go ahead and start with the stuff that I actually do like. The stuff with Omni-Man and Mark is like top tier, like phenomenal. Like it's phenomenal in a director sense, in a story writing sense. There's so many good things to love here. And
because we never seen a superhero be a dad.
Yeah, at least not to the extent like this.
Yeah.
And it's so strange because like Omni-Man, he knows in his mind that his whole deal is eventually we're going to have to take over this planet and assimilate it into Viltrum and enslave it. And because it gets weird whenever he starts talking about like, because like at first it seems a little normal, but then it goes into like him starting to talk about how humans are inferior.
Yeah, well, the whole point of it, like he comes from Viltrum, which is basically we're a guardian planet that wants to send our inhabitants to different planets to protect it from the outside world since we're so strong.
Yeah.
That's the story he tells everybody. And then later, as more of this comes along, the idea is that he has to be sent down to Earth to kill its best guardians, so the invasion goes a lot easier as planned.
Yeah.
Which was just like the Saiyans.
Yeah.
What they were done in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. And just to enslave them. And so it's such a neat concept. The concept of this show is amazing. Yeah, the concept is great. The story is actually pretty good. I agree with you, though. The Cecil stuff, like with the robot trying to get like a new body, was very uninteresting to me. I thought that everything could have just worked. I thought it could have made something interesting if the character was actually just a robot and was like, oh, this robot has like feelings for this human girl, but he can't comprehend it. He doesn't know how to express it. I feel like that would have been more compelling if they would have just kept on that track, but they made it to where like, oh, he's like this weird, gross infant thing that is trying to get a new body, a new fleshly body, so he could closely interact with the girl. Just seems kind of creepy. And the characters actually talk about that. They're like, hey, like, we get it that, you know, you're well intentioned, but what you did was really weird.
Well, because as well too, like the person that he took DNA from was somebody that was also on the team, because the person that he had attraction to on the team had somewhat of an attraction to him, had attraction to the guy that he stole the DNA from.
Yeah.
And used it without his permission.
Which is also weird.
Yes.
So that part was weird. I felt like they should have. Okay. This series was like 8 episodes long, something like that.
Yes.
It should have been 10. It should have been 10. They should have given another episode or 2 for the Guardians of the Globe. I wish I would have seen more of it, because the world is devastated, and like killing the Guardians of the Globe is like the driving force in the story of the show. And I felt like it would have been helpful to get more backstory and more context on the relationship between Omni-Man and the Guardians of the Globe. You barely see it at all.
Well, I think it's good to know what it's applied for. Like he was a part of the Guardians of the Globe, and it's like, oh, he's our good friend. He helps us out with all this different stuff. And it's like, who called this emergency meeting together? Holy cow! He took that dude's head off.
Yeah. He's dead. Yes. But one of the other things that I didn't like, and this is just me, this is maybe it's kind of nitpicky or whatnot, but the whole situation with like Mark and Amber, you know, Mark is continuously trying to balance his, they're trying to show that Mark is trying to balance a superhero life with his normal teenage life. They do that in a lot of superhero stuff. That's normal. But the relational aspect between Mark and Amber was so uninteresting to me. I was like, just ditch her and date Eve. You're both superheroes. You're both good looking. You're both doing the same stuff all the time anyways. You're both around each other.
But she has a boyfriend as well too.
Well, only for a portion of the show. And I'm like, just do that because the boyfriend that she had was cheated on her. And so that was already bad. I'm like, Mark's a good guy. Mark is trying to do his best with Amber, who's just not having any of it. She already says, like, I already know that you're a superhero. You just still don't make time for me. And I'm like, can we get back to the Omni-Man Mark stuff? That's where the show is at its peak, is when Omni-Man and his wife and Mark, those 3 characters, are involved. That is the best part of the show. And by the way, I think Cecil is the old man, not the robot. But because I just put
you're
it together.
right.
Yeah, he's
that Cecil is also a very great. I'd say that
he's a very cool character. I like him.
When Cecil has his moments, I think that's also peak in the show as well too.
He's always trying to come up with something to protect the Earth and protect the Earth from its own superheroes and stuff like that. And then there was some really interesting stuff. But yeah, for me as a whole, this show is an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really good show. The action scenes are fantastic. They're top-notch anime type, action scenes. Lots of good emotional moments, like when Omni-Man and Mark are fighting near the end, and Omni-Man's yelling at him, and he says, "You're going to live for centuries. What are you going to do when this whole world just blows up, turns into dust, and everyone you know will love? What will you have?" And he's like, his face is all bloody, and he just says, "I'll still have you." And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was really emotional. Like, even though his dad just beat him to near death, his son still says, like, "Well, I'll always have you because you're my dad." But that's because the Viltrumites think of attachment as weakness. And
well, it's hard to have attachments to a world when you live
for so long,
tens of thousands of years.
But Mark is half human, so like attachment and emotion is so important to him and important to humanity. And that's, having a shorter life makes you value that life even more.
Which, again, at the same time, like, he does not know that he will live 10,000 years as well, too.
Right.
Omni-Man at this point has lived tens of thousands of years, so it's like,
yeah,
it's very hard to subjugate or hard to put yourself in a box at that point when you've lived that long. Like, he's lived 18 years, 19 years with his mother.
Yeah.
That is possibly like 1/1000th of his life.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what did she mean? What did mom mean? Like, and that's another really good moment too, where he's like, well, what did mom mean to you?
And
it's like, she's only lived at 1/1000th of my life.
Yeah. And he's like, "I love your mom, but she's more like a pet to me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
But it's a good moment because but he got into Omni-Man's head, and Omni-Man flies off because he's conflicted about how he feels about it, which is very interesting because as I don't remember what his name is, whoever Seth Rogen plays.
Oh, I don't think he really has much of a name, but that's a very interesting character too.
Yeah, he talks to him and says, "Viltrumites, like, Omni-Man just left." He was like, "Viltrumites don't just do that. That's not normal." And so that was a pretty cool moment. So in this show, there are so many good moments, but the B and C plots, like with like the group of teenage superheroes and the relationship between Mark and Amber, that bogs it down for me. If they would have just really honed in and focused on, it gave a few more episodes to the Guardians of the Globe and cut out a lot of the teenage robot stuff and more focused on the relationship between Omni-Man and his son, I feel like that would have made this show like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But this other stuff just doesn't, just for me, it just doesn't do it for me. So, so if you give it a 9 or a 10 or whatever, that's totally fine. I'm gonna disagree, and I'm gonna go an 8. I'm not gonna go any higher. That's where I'm at. So
that's still pretty fair, I'd say. I'm saying it's pretty high up there.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it, but I definitely recommend you all to at least give it a watch. I watched it twice. I watched it once, like periodically when it came out, and then I had to watch it. I binge watched it again so I could really talk about it. And I mean, I heard the second season's coming out later this year.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah. I think second season, honestly, this is going to be one of those deals where second season will be a tad bit better.
There's comics that this is based off of, isn't there?
Yep, there's comics I think that were not too long ago created that really went into this. But yeah, if you want to see the announcement as well too, the announcement's I think very entertaining as well.
Yeah, it's kind of
funny. It has like Seth Rogen's character in there. They're eating like a
the
burger.
People want to know.
It's like, when are you going to go back out there and do this? And it's like,
people want to know the exact day.
Yeah, can you tell us the exact day and time?
And he's like, late this year. He's like, you heard it. That'll work. That'll satiate us for now.
Yeah, exactly. Which, again, I'm excited, but yeah, I can't say this enough. Watch it. Like, this is going to be one of those one key points I say, really watch it. Like, I know I say watch it, but really watch it.
Yeah, really watch it. It's an interesting show. And spoiler alert again. I mean, like, the cool part about this show is like when Omni-Man like kills the Guardians of the Globe, it showed that he wasn't invincible though, because like Superman is pretty, he's pretty OP.
Unless you have kryptonite around, that's the only thing that will hurt him.
And like even so, like Superman's always been kind of like an overpowered character in general. So to have someone like this, who went up against the 5 or 6 Guardians of the Globe and like basically was hospitalized, like proved that, I mean, one, the Viltrumites are very formidable, but 2, it proved that he wasn't unkillable.
Yeah. Well, even then too, you saw him struggle with a big monster that the U.S. government brings back to life.
Yeah.
To try to fight him, which I think that's another good, cool concept about this. Is I just mentioned a little bit, but you have Cecil, which is basically the Nick Fury of kind of what this is here, except like he really is like what he says he is.
Yeah.
Like he's really about it. Like he's got this technology where he can transport anywhere, and he's like trying to have a conversation to distract Omni-Man because he knows that they can't beat him. And he's like teleporting back and forth, just like, come on, we had so much together, and now you're backstabbing us like this. And
Yeah.
he ends up teleporting back to base, and Omni-Man actually ripped his tie off his neck.
Yeah. Because the speed.
Yeah, because he's just so fast. Yeah.
So the entire plot that revolves around Omni-Man like trying to hide the fact that he killed them was very interesting. I was like, this is pretty cool. I'm like, he's kind of outwitting these guys. There was like this like Hellboy looking character.
Yeah.
That
was a detective.
Yeah. And that was pretty interesting. So there's a lot in this show. Like there's a lot of audiences that can find something they like in here. And I think that's a big strength of the show. But as a whole, just for me, it's pretty good. I don't think it's great. I mean, well, if I rate it an 8 out of 10, I would say probably 8 out of 10 is probably great.
Yeah, I'd say 8 out of 10 is great. I'd say 9 out of 10 is excellent.
9 out of 10 is excellent, and 10 out of 10 is flawless. Yeah. Like just perfect how it is. Or a masterpiece. So this is a great show. But there's just there's few smaller things that takes me out of the experience.
Yep. And it has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, I will say, and a 95% on Google reviews too. So
because I watched
very highly rated too.
I watched all these episodes in a row on my phone while I'm walking around the house and just cleaning stuff and minding my own business, and it really pulled me in with the stuff with the Omni-Man, the Guardians of the Globe, the murder mystery, and the relationship between him and his wife and his son Mark. But then when it got to like the teenage stuff and the Mark and Amber stuff, I felt myself feeling as if like, I could just wait till this episode's over and then I could just watch the rest tomorrow. But then it would go back into the Omni-Man stuff, and I'm like, okay, well now I have to watch the next episode. So that's what I'm basing that off of, just from pure experience.
And I think it's cool too. It's just kind of a weird aesthetic type piece, but basically when they say his superhero's name the first time within an episode, it cuts to like the credit scene.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh no, I think this is a job for boom, credit scene.
And it says
like,
Invincible.
Yeah.
And then every new title scene there's like a little bit more blood that's splashed on it.
Yeah.
So which is a neat detail. Yeah. So cool stuff.
That is neat. But yeah, we want to do something a little shorter here at the Big Screen Bowls podcast.
Yeah.
It's because one, this is already done. It came out in 2021. So it's been out there for a while. It's one of these good shows, small, simple shows you can knock out in a week's time, I'm going to say.
Yep. And is on Hulu.
Amazon. It's an Amazon. It's
Amazon Prime. It's
Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's one of the Amazon.
I was just thinking, I was like, where did I watch this on?
It's like The Boys or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's
Amazon Prime Video.
Which I guess that's a big deal to talk about for the future as well too, is like, what is Amazon's place within superhero content for the future?
Yeah, because they have a lot of stuff.
They have
actually
a lot of good stuff that's coming out now, of one that's kind of anime based, adult animation, and now superhero as well too. So
it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Who will they take over the world? Find out next time on the Big Screen Bowls podcast. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, and any last remarks, Christian?
No, just stay safe, stay warm, and tune in for the next one.
Yep. We'll see you bowls later.